Manx Radio's Update with Lewis Foster.
First of all, and welcome along to Update on Manx Radio. It's 5 o'clock on Tuesday the 29th of March. What a nice and different day it's been today after the weekend. Let's kick the evening off with half an hour of the latest news on and from the Isle of Man. Coming up, external validators have critiqued the island's school system. We hear more about the first of 3 annual reviews. The Chief Minister insists there are no plans to merge any of the island's public services with Liverpool. And could we end up paying more for things like milkshakes and lattes? All of that and more coming up, plus the latest weather and sport for you, as well as what to watch out for on the roads this evening. Let us know your thoughts. Text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. First of all, let's take a look at the latest headlines with Christian Jones. Faster my, Christian.
Faster my. A Ramsey MHK says he will use Tynwald powers to force the Education Department to release withheld individual school review reports.
It is pretty embarrassing that we have to go through these lengths, go to this extent, just to get some openness out of the Department of Education.
The department has published a 16-page overview of education services, but stopped short of releasing school-specific reports or the inspection framework. The Chief Minister insists there are no plans to combine any of the island's public services with Liverpool. Alfred Cannon has been responding to questions about the Memorandum of Understanding he signed with the city last month. Government is set to look again at the potential to make Douglas Head a conservation area. In 2021, the majority of respondents to a consultation said it should be designated as such. And Isle of Man netball will no longer compete in an international event after it was cancelled with just over a week before it was set to begin. The Europe Netball Tournament was due to be held in Cardiff. However, the event has been hit with controversy in recent days, with pro-Palestinian campaigners calling for organisers to exclude Israel from the competition. In the latest international news, the White House has accused Amazon of a hostile and political act, claiming the online giant was planning to detail the impact of tariffs next to its prices on products.
This is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home and boost our own manufacturing.
That's Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, who's been urging shoppers to shun the retailer. Amazon insists there are no plans to list import charges on its main site. A court heard the Sycamore Gap tree was cut down in under 3 minutes by 2 men on a moronic mission. Jurors have been shown mobile phone footage of the felling of the Northumberland landmark. Daniel Graham and Adam Caruthers deny criminal damage. And Marks & Spencer says it has pockets of limited availability in some stores as it deals with the fallout of a cyber attack. It follows reports of empty food shelves in some branches. Those are the update news headlines next at 6.
Christian, thank you, Guramayed. The weather brought to you now by Manx Glass and Glazing. Dry with sunny spells and light winds this evening. Minimum temperature of 10 degrees overnight. Another fine and dry day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine and just a gentle breeze. Feeling very warm with a best temperature of 19 or 20 degrees. Can you believe it? Settled weather continuing for the rest of the week as well. Sunset tonight at 8:46 and sunrise tomorrow morning at 5:45.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
If you run a small business or just need more room in the back, Philshaw Vehicles has the perfect van or light commercial for all your needs and can sort out any finance. Based in the Tremode Estate, view philshawvehicles.im or call 49 51 49.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company, Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
SMS Trading have moved to 3 St Paul's Square, Ramsey. For flat pack to fully built, new or second-hand furniture, SMS Trading offer all-island delivery and man-in-a-van service. Call 315151 or find SMS Trading on Facebook.
At Begode Cattery, we have been caring for animals for over 50 years. As a cattery, we care for customers' cats and treat them as our own. Contact Begode Cattery on 676 947 or find Begode Cattery on Facebook.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
And the time now is exactly 5:05. The Education Minister says a newly published report assessing Manx schools looks at the education system as a whole and isn't about shaming particular schools or professionals. The annual overview is the first of 3 publications produced by Etio, expected over the course of a 3-year external validation contract between October 2023 and July 2026. Inspectors found areas for improvement across 14 schools and 1 education service, but they don't go into specific detail by school. Daphne Kane told Manx Radio government's aim is to strive for educational excellence across all schools.
It's a very good roadmap for us to be able to identify what activity we need to undertake, where we need to focus our resources, and what areas we need to take the action to ensure that those areas improve.
It doesn't really tell us, how they came to those conclusions. Why is it laid out like that? Because it doesn't read as very informative.
How the report is put together, it's not my report. It's an outside professional body that's very well respected, and they have surfaced these themes in order to say that not an individual school, but generally across the island, these are the areas that are coming up frequently to be a more general addressing, and action is needed. And that is including something like as fundamental as the curriculum, and whether the curriculum is right for engaging the learners. And again, that transition from primary to secondary. We will always have the need for our individual schools to assess themselves. Then once every 3 years, that will be subject to external independent validation, which we've not had previously. And it wouldn't be appropriate for those reports to be highlighting an individual leader or school or area of improvement. But the point about the annual review is that we know more fundamental changes that are needed across which stage of education. We're saying that the education system as a whole and individual schools have some positives and some challenges that need addressing, and this is how we address them to ensure that we get the best educational outcomes.
Education Minister Daphne Kane speaking to Siobhan Fletcher there. Now, the Chief Minister insists there are no plans to merge any of the island's public services with Liverpool. Alfred Cannon has been responding to questions about the Memorandum of Understanding he signed with the city last month. The document, published today, lays out ways in which the 2 jurisdictions can work together in the future. But Onken member Julie Edge told the House of Keys she has some reservations.
I'm very concerned to see that health and public services is in there, and I'd like an explanation around that, and also education collaboration. This is new, and I don't want to see the Isle of Man being sold down to a borough of Liverpool through the Liverpool Mersey.
Well, that's just an absolutely ridiculous Mr. Speaker.
Careful.
What it says is we will endeavour to share expertise and collaborate further on public service delivery and governance, promoting positive outcomes through service delivery for those living in both regions. Both parties in particular wish to improve health and wellbeing outcomes for their residents, including through the support provided within Liverpool NHS institutions for healthcare for Isle of Man residents. Mr. Speaker, the Isle of Man does not hold the patent on perfect delivery of public services, and I would suggest that we should use the opportunities we have with our nearest trading partners and regional governments to try and learn best practice where that is available.
It's not the first Memorandum of Understanding. We've had various renditions of it. What concerns me more in the actual Memorandum of Understanding under Health and Public Services, that we will collaborate further on public service delivery and governance, promoting positive outcomes through service delivery for those living in both regions. That sounds to me like we're going to be combining services with Liverpool, and I think you need to be really transparent. Can the Chief Minister be more specific on what public service agreements could possibly come out of those statements in the Health and Public Services section?
If there was a book published this Christmas that says conspiracy theories, do not be surprised if the author is not Julie Edge. Because, frankly, there is nothing but a recognition in terms of the value of understanding how the Isle of Man can best improve its public service delivery, and where there are lessons to be learned, then we should seek to understand those lessons.
Well, there you go. Chief Minister Alfred Cannon responding in the House of Keys to questions from Onken MHK Julie Edge.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
The time now is 5:10. The Infrastructure Minister says she'll be visiting all local authority boards to discuss the concept of 20 mph speed limits in their built-up areas. Dr Michelle Hayward was quizzed in the House of Keys about Castletown's Living Streets consultation. The results are still to be published. Dr Hayward says she's aware that some boards now have different lineups following the local elections, including Castletown.
It may well do, and I think that's an issue for all across the island. We've recently had new boards appointed. So our implementation plan for the 20 miles an hour, the new version of it says we're going to go out zone by zone. We'll be starting up in the north and talking to individual commissioners and giving them before and after maps for the areas that they have purview of, and we'll be asking them for their up-to-date response to what that is. So I suspect when we get to Castletown, the current board may have different views to the previous board, and we'll capture those at the time.
When you say when we get to Castletown, have you any idea when that will be?
That's scheduled for the last quarter of this year, so it'll be winter 25 that we're down there, because we're rolling out those consultations in advance of doing the implementation.
What about the question of parking and the square?
The question of parking in the square is open to Castletown Commissioners to debate. They have a permanent closure on the square for the summer period now, which runs March to September. And when we issued a temporary traffic restriction order last year, it was with the intention and with the instructions to the Commissioners that they should consider what they want to do with the square, and they should show that there's support for it being closed. So I anticipate the new board will look at that and they will come to their own decisions, and it will be up to them as to whether they ask us for a closure for the next winter or not.
Generally, the 20 mph speed question, where is that?
We're still analysing all the data that we had from the emails that came in. That was the whole island scheme, but there's an implementation plan that the department's put forward that will be debated in Tynwald next month. And that suggests that we'll do a staggered rolling period of consultations around the island. We'll produce some better, clearer maps for people so that they can understand what they're commenting on. And I look forward to having those detailed discussions. I'm going to go and visit each board of commissioners with the maps in order to get their response.
Infrastructure Minister Michelle Hayward speaking to Manx Radio's John Moss.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Well, let's start on the roads. Temporary traffic lights have been put in place on Peel Road near Greeba Castle. The Department of Infrastructure says a contractor is repairing a wall in the area that was damaged by a fallen tree earlier this year. Two-way traffic will be maintained at all times using temporary traffic lights in operation 24 hours a day until at least next Wednesday, the 7th of May. Elsewhere in Santon, until the 18th of May, temporary lights on the new Castletown Road just south of Mount Murray for resurfacing. In Ramsey, until the 12th of May, temporary lights at the Bowring Road / Derby Road junction, 24 hours a day there for gas main work. And in Douglas, Market Street will be closed each night this week, up to and including Friday, from 8 o'clock until 2 in the morning, from the back of M&S to Victoria Street for fibre installation works. During the time of the closure, traffic can travel in both directions on the stretch of Market Street that remains open. In off-island travel now, slightly hazy out in the bay, but it's clear skies over the airport, so no concerns over tonight's flight schedule. And on the sailings, Manxman left Heysham at 3 o'clock and is due back here into Douglas at 6:45. Manannan will be soon leaving Liverpool and getting back to the island at around 8:45.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside. You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
Coming up to 5:15, and the island in 2018 brought in a sugar tax on fizzy drinks and the like. Now, the UK is looking to extend the premise. But are reports of it going on milkshakes and lattes accurate? And if so, what will the Manx position be? Here's Treasury Minister Alex Allinson.
We've had the extension of the soft drinks levy to the Isle of Man. It's a shared duty. This is really about pre-manufactured drinks, and it was brought in to try to lower the amount of sugar in canned drinks, in soft drinks that you buy from the supermarkets, What they're now thinking about doing is extending that to pre-made milkshakes, again, that you buy from shops and supermarkets. It doesn't affect stuff that's manufactured on the island, including coffees or milkshakes that you would buy over the counter from a cafe.
This was brought in 2018 in the Isle of Man, I think, under Mr Cannon when he was in Treasury. About £1 million was estimated, which he said would probably decrease as people's habits change. Yep. Any indication that's happening?
Well, it's not people's habits change. Actually, it's the manufacturers who have significantly reduced the amount of sugar in the soft drinks you will buy from the shelves of a shop or supermarket. So they've done that to avoid the tax, and that's been really quite successful. The proceeds of the tax, though, do go towards various public health measures on the Isle of Man, including some of the extension of dental services to schools and some of the campaigns there, which is very beneficial for our young people because we know that tooth decay is an issue on the island.
How much are we getting from it at the moment?
As you said, it's close to £1 million a year, and that will go into public health measures. So it is a considerable amount of money. It has been decreasing because those manufacturers have been adjusting what's in their drinks, and I think that's the whole idea behind the proposals to extend that. Is we'd have less sugar in some of the things like milkshakes and other drinks that you can buy over the counter, which may at the moment have considerably more sugar than some of the colas and lemonades that you'd be buying.
Infrastructure Minister Alex Allington speaking again to John Moss there. Now, the Infrastructure Minister once again, who's confirmed that a review into the condition of the island's social housing provision last took place 8 years ago. Dr Michelle Hayward told the House of Keys her department is working with local authorities to understand the housing needs and hopes to use the information to plan to increase the stock.
In 2017, the department carried out a full stock condition survey of all housing authorities' public sector stock on the island to check firstly that existing capital programmes reflected the present condition and the needs of housing stock, and secondly that immediate and future works were identified and budgets, priorities and timescales for proposed works were realistic and appropriate. Local authorities, including non-housing authorities, were asked in January 2025 to submit to the department any proposals for provision of housing in their area, including information around identified needs and shortage of certain types of housing within their area. This was instigated by the publication of the Objective Assessment of Housing Needs report, and the data collected will be used to plan how we can move forward together with the development and construction of public sector housing stock. The reference to Section 37 of the 1955 Housing Act was included in the correspondence to emphasise the importance of collaboration between the department and all local authorities in terms of identifying housing needs and plans to address shortages across the whole of the island. This is the first time that the department has taken this approach, which recognises the potential benefits of working in partnership with local authority stakeholders in response to meeting our housing needs. We are working with local authorities to try and address housing needs across the island, and the first step to that is actually to collaboratively work with them to identify those needs, to ask what needs and what plans they have, and to seek to remove any barriers to progress for them to allow them to expand their public sector housing stock.
Infrastructure Minister Michelle Hayward speaking in the House of Keys there. Now it's 18 minutes past 5 and government is set to look again at the potential to make Douglas Head a conservation area. A consultation was held in 2021 seeking views on whether the area should be designated as such, but so far nothing. Beth Espy reports.
What we're talking about is the land surrounding Manx Radio and overlooking Douglas Bay. And in the consultation, 61 respondents were asked, should Douglas Head be a conservation area? 47 said yes, 12 said no, and 2 didn't answer. Now, in their initial proposal for designating Douglas Head as a conservation area, David Wertheim and Charles Gard recount its many uses throughout history. The area was once home to amusement rides and, during the Second World War, home to a secret radar station. In recent weeks, Douglas Central MHK Anne Corlett, in a Tynwald question for written answer to the Minister for the Cabinet Office, asked whether granted conservation area status had been given further consideration. In his newly published response, the Minister, David Ashford, says, in respect of the consultation, it was considered that the existing protections afforded to Douglas Head through the Isle of Man Strategic Plan 2016, the Area Plan for the East 2020, the Douglas Head Act 2000 and the Wildlife Act 1990 were more than adequate to protect those aspects of Douglas Head that respondents considered important. However, he adds, the department is currently in the process of re-examining the work around the potential for Douglas Head to become a conservation area. A conservation area is an area of special architectural or historic interest, the character or appearance of which is desirable to enhance or preserve. A number of areas in Douglas are already conservation areas, including North Quay and the Promenade. So what does that mean? Well, because of the special nature of conservation areas, there are tighter planning controls and obligations in respect of demolition, new development, property alterations and advertisements and signs. As a rule of thumb, all properties within a conservation area are excluded from all permitted development and planning permission is required in most instances. In recent years, plans to build new developments on Douglas Head have sprung up and then they've gone quiet again. Perhaps next time, planning officers might have more to consider.
Beth Espy with that report. Now, a group of residents from the south of the island are calling for the bus service to some of the key tourist destinations there to be restored as soon as possible. Yesterday, around 70 people attended the Save Our Cregneash bus coffee morning in Port Erin to discuss the discontinued route which served Cregneash and the Sound. In the absence of the service, group members say they've helped transport visitors around the area, but this shouldn't be their responsibility.
The Minister is very involved in this and very knowledgeable about it, and indeed the Speaker was at our event today. It's extraordinary to me that certainly one of our top 10 visitor attractions, there is no way to get there if you haven't got a car. And if you come by train, there's no connecting bus service. And it just seems absolutely wrong and a massive missed opportunity.
I was talking to somebody just now who's has got a relative who lives in Cregneash, and she walks down into Port St Mary every day to get the bus. Surely there should be some sort of bus service. If they can run bus services Derby and out to Niarwal, why are we being penalised? I'm a member of a dance group and we go and perform at Cregneash. We go up at Hop Tunay, we go up for May Day, we go up whenever, basically we go up. And people say, oh, where are you dancing next? Like, well, we're dancing at Cregneash. Oh, I can't get there. I've come in on the train sometimes, left my car in the car park here, come back from Douglas on the train, talking to people. Oh, we're going up to Cregneash. Well, how are you getting there? Oh, so you put them in the car and you take them there, but it shouldn't be down to the residents to do that, to keep our visitors happy. And visitors are important.
There's a lot of public support. And if you have something with a lot of public support in a democracy, you do it. So we need a restoration of this bus service as soon as possible. It's really urgent.
Krista, who's been vocal about reinstating the service, says there is a demand, and in the interim, a taxi owner has come forward to assist.
Involving an interim shuttle, I would be very happy, to be honest. Well, let's see whether we can figure out something.
There's a problem here, and I'm just trying to help out. In the meantime, while the tourists are around town, it's just filling the gap as an option to get them to the Sound, Cregneash, and return again, sort of thing. But this is not a profitable thing in my case. It's something I'm wanting to sort of, if I can help out, I've got a bus there, I'm free to do it. I'm just trying to fill the gap.
Some of the residents at the Save Our Cregneash bus coffee morning there in Port Erin. Sport now, and plans have been put forward to build a permanent sporting base and community space at the home of Southern Nomads Rugby Club at Ballakilya Fields in Port Erin. Dave Parks, trustee of Sport Erin, which is behind the proposals, says if approved, this wouldn't just be to benefit local rugby, but the wider area.
So Sport Erin was originally set up with Southern Nomads. It's the charity wing of Southern Nomads, originally to establish the playing fields that we got now. We finally got our pitch established in 2019. We have a collection of containers and other temporary buildings at the minute. Our goal is to raise a clubhouse, build a clubhouse. But it's worth noting that Sport Erin isn't just about rugby. It's about sporting facilities in the south of the island. We want to encourage young people, anyone, to engage in sport. Yeah, rugby's our preferred sport, but our vision for the clubhouse will be to have something much more community-based, to involve as many in the community as we can, to offer it as a venue, anything as part of the community. We hope to be able to present our vision of what we want to any prospective benefactors who may want to help us, but we're not relying on that at all. We're busily trying to raise money ourselves. In terms of a target, I think the estimates we have, John, are in the region of £750,000 to £1 million to build something which will serve long-term for the community.
What about the pitch itself? Because a pitch doesn't just look after itself. You have a field and then you have to make sure it's a good field to play on. Yes. How do you cope with that?
Well, separate to the monies of Sport Erin, because those are very much reserved to support our goals and our aims. The Nomads Club itself raises the money to fund the pitch maintenance every year. We've bought some equipment, so we do quite a bit of that ourselves now. Yes,
you need someone who knows what they're doing as well with that pitch. No?
Yes, when we first built the pitch, we had a very talented guy, an agronomist, who helped us with that. We've engaged a couple of pitch maintenance firms over the years, but now we're hoping to be able to take much of that on with professional guidance.
That's Dave Parks, who's the trustee of Sport Erin. What a great name.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
5:25, and let's get the rest of the island sporting news with Darren Timpson. Faster my, Darren.
Faster my, Lewis. Starting with breaking news in netball today. The Isle of Man's national team was left devastated after the 2025 Europe Netball Open Challenge was cancelled the week before the event was set to take place. It was only this morning the island side released their captains and mid-quarters as Rachel Johnston, Ashley Hall, Rhiannon Evans and Nan Williams all due to take part. The Europe Netball tournament was due to be held in Cardiff from the 7th to the 11th of May. It was to field teams from France, Gibraltar, Israel, Malta and Switzerland alongside the Wales under-21 side at the House of Sports. Europe Netball said in a statement, the safety and well-being of everyone involved in our events is always our top priority. The cancellation comes after the event had been hit with some controversy in recent days, with pro-Palestine campaigners reportedly calling for organisers to exclude Israel from the competition. And on to football, there's some midweek action to look forward to tonight. Firstly, in the Arden and Drogheda Limited Division 2, Douglas Old Boys face Rycob in a promotion decider. Old Boys currently sit second in the table on 39 points, and with a draw would see them secure a place in the Canada Life Premier League next season. However, if Rycob win, they would be 2 points clear of tonight's rivals and would take promotion instead. In the Cup, Canada Life Premier League champions Peel will face second place Ayr United in the Manx Quality Sheds Hospital Cup quarter-final at 6:15 p.m. The winner will then face Ramsey in the semi-final, with the date still to be confirmed. And in Premier League football, Foxdale face St John's United. A win for Foxdale would see them leapfrog St John's and move into 8th.
Darren Simpson. Goromaya, thank you. That's today's sporting news, and that's it for Update tonight. Up next, Rewind the Clock with Howard Kane on Island Life, and Chris Kinley is back at 6 o'clock with Greatest Hits. Remember, you can listen back to tonight's programme as a podcast, available shortly over at manxradio.com. Have a great evening, lovely weather out there. Update will be back at the same time tomorrow.